Let's begin with Captain America: Civil War. It's the big movie of the week. It's taken $700 million worldwide, but it's the political themes in the film that have caught the eye of many critics. Stephen, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk online about the political rhetoric in this film, and in some ways, it touches upon topics we discussed on last week's panel. So, with that in mind, is Ted Cruz the Zodiac Killer?
We will never know. We will never know the answer to that question. It's one of those mysteries that are aligned. No, this one is more. The politics of this movie are a little simpler.
Yeah, set up the film a bit for us, and then outline the main political films.
There's Iron Man, and there's it feels so humiliating to have to describe it, but so there's Iron Man and there's Captain America, and they have to make a decision about whether they're going to be subject to the United Nations. And the thing that is sort of more interesting about this movie than the other Marvel movies is that it's there's no real bad guy per se. There's no supervillain anyway. There's a bad guy, but he's not really like out to destroy the world. It's something different than that. And the question is one of like, the question is, Jeffrey Goldberg on The Atlantic could have asked us about Obama, like, is this America as leader, or is it America as part of something, bigger that's part of the world? And that kind of question is very explicitly asked here in a very direct way, which, given that America is in the middle of one of the most fractious political campaigns in its history, is kind of telling.
Well, in terms of that campaign, Robert Downey Jr. said that Iron Man would vote for Hillary Clinton. Does that mean that Captain America would vote for Donald Trump?
Wow, that's a dark little question. I'm not sure that. Well, who would the captain be for? It's actually hard to tell.
I mean, what's interesting, I don't think it would be Trump necessarily, because I think that Captain America is sort of seen as, he's sort of the man out of time. I mean, that's sort of the whole sort of situation for
Right.
Captain America is he came out of what was seen as maybe the last good war that America was involved in, and is trying to make sense of this contemporary time. So I don't know if he'd be as reactionary as
I feel like he would
Trump
run.
supporter. Yeah.
He would run, yeah. That's right. He'd vote for Captain America. That's what he'd do.
Exactly.
So he came out of World War II. He's like, no, I need
to hop into this.
I need to hop into this fray. Emily, why do you think filmmakers keep injecting these political themes into comic book movies?
I mean, as Rachel brought up with Captain America specifically, he's a political creation. He emerged during, just directly after World War II to kind of tell Americans about their own heroism. They created this super person who was literally engineered from average to exceptional in order to kill Hitler. Yet that's his whole backstory. It's impossible to extract the political narratives out of superhero movies. They're part of our time. That said, I feel like sometimes we, as a culture, kind of go very far out of our way to read into what is just 2.5 hours of tough guys in suits beating each other up.
But they're putting it in there, though.
Yeah, but I think it's always. It's always been there, right?
Yeah.
I think there's always been, whether you have from DC Comics, you have Superman as a displaced person who is a refugee from a destroyed culture. I think there's always been this idea that comic books track real life in some kind of way.
For sure.
And I think that there's an appetite to, given that we're going to have all of these comic book movies forever and ever and ever, even this was a way to introduce Black Panther and the new Spider-Man reboot. So,
I'm so excited.
Exactly. So, I think part of it is they want to put some meat on the bones to distinguish between, this particular iteration of the Avengers movie, and then on we go to the next one.
Stephen was saying there's no kind of cut and dry bad guy here, and we're seeing our superheroes becoming more layered, less black and white, less good versus evil. Rachel, why do you think audiences are looking for that more complicated picture now?
Well, I think, it's interesting because this movie, I think, has a similar theme as the Batman Superman movie that just came out.
Except for
it's good, right? And it also,
and
I think also it has some levity. I think, again, that, DC tends to be much more dour, and Marvel tends to be a bit more, there's some humor in it, and there's some levity. And so, I think that part of it is there's human beings have been absent in a lot of the superhero movies. And I think that this movie and then the Superman and Batman one talks about the human collateral, like talks about the collateral damage that happens when you have these super beings. And I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it's completely coincidental, but it's interesting. You know, Obama's going to visit Hiroshima, and you know,
totally.
and there's this question about, you know, you had this superpower that dropped, you know, the atom bomb on Japan, and what does it mean to reckon with, you know, the damage that caused.
Well, you've compared superheroes to drones.
Yeah.
Well, I
in a
mean, to me,
similar
Iron Man
way.
3 was really the drone movie. This
Okay.
one has aspects of drone, has aspects of the question of drones, the questions of using technology just to obliterate your enemies. But Iron Man, you know, that's really, to me, that's the Iron Man question. This one is sort of more, what is America's role in the world question. Those are the Captain America questions.
I don't know. I feel like in this particular film, it's Iron Man himself who's framing it that way, who's raising that question himself, right? Like he deals a lot with his own guilt over having destroyed lives as Iron Man. And he, in the movie, is actually like pro-regulating superheroes. He wants to work with the UN to collaborate on what they can do. Whereas it's Captain America
Yeah.
who is like, absolutely not. We should determine our own fate.